we're entering week 4 of the NFL season, and I wanted to give you guys my first team tier list ranking for this NFL year. Next week, I want to do my 30-to-1 rankings in an individual video, but today we're going to kind of set the foundation for that, do an NFL team tier list with what we've seen so far this season. And we are going to have 7 tiers. This is going to be a deep tier list. We have Super Bowl favorites, who I think right now are the contenders in each conference. I may do 2 and 2 from each conference, but we'll see. Super Bowl contenders as well, like teams that could be a frisky conference championship team, but maybe there's going to be more teams than Super Bowl contenders. Maybe I do 2 in each of that tier and then 1 in each conference for Super Bowl favorites. We have playoff teams, pretty self-explanatory, potential wild cards as well, teams that are going to be like on the fringe, like maybe they win the division, more so going to be a wild card, but hey, there's a chance they end up not making it. Missing playoff teams, I'm pretty confident you're not going to make the playoffs. I have young but intriguing. Not sure if I'm going to keep that tier, but it's just like, yeah, you're probably bad, but I'm enjoying watching like some of your young players on your team and what your future can be. And then we have number 1 pick contention as well. Also self-explanatory. We don't really know who the number 1 pick is going to be. Is it going to be Mendoza? Is it going to be Nussmeier? Is it going to be Sellers? So there's really no tanking for this specific player yet. I don't think there's like a defensive player in college, like a Woods or a Downs or a Parker that's like far and away, like an Abdul Carter or a Myles Garrett over the years. That's like the consensus number 1 defensive player. I'm going to assume it's going to be a quarterback going number 1 in the draft as well. I will go division by division, so timestamps will be in the description as well. And we will start off with, let's go with like a random team to start off with. Not an East, not a West. Let's go with the NFC North, which is arguably the best division in football. Start off with the Green Bay Packers, who, man, like if I did this before week 3, people might have them in the Super Bowl favorites or the Super Bowl contenders. Then they lose to the Cleveland Browns. They beat the Commanders. And honestly, a very convincing Lions win now after the Lions blow out the Bears and they beat the Baltimore Ravens. I think for the Packers, I don't think they're a favorite, but I still want to believe that they can be a Super Bowl contender this year. I trust Jordan Love. I don't even think this offense has reached its fullest potential either. They've had some injuries on the O-line, like Zach Tom being banged up right now. The receivers have been banged up. We knew that Watson was going to be out for the year. Jaden Reed's going to be out for a decent amount of time. And maybe, like, since he had a good week 3 or his best week yet, we're going to start to see Matthew Golden going. But this defense looks great. The corners, Nixon, like, been playing out of his mind. They added Micah Parsons to believe in their, like, organization. They can make the Super Bowl this year. I don't want to say that they're a tier 1 team in the NFC. Like, they're right there as a tier 2. Like I said, though, I may only do 1 team in each conference in the favorites. So they may be one of the 2 teams and Super Bowl contenders in the NFC. But right now, like in terms of like EPA per play, they're a good offensive team. They're a good defensive team. It is a loaded division. It's a solid conference. And still kind of figure out who's the better conference. Maybe I'll know by the end of this. But yeah, I'm going to say the Packers are a Super Bowl contender. But like, I don't know if they're like one of the top 2 choices in the NFC specifically. Detroit, I think they're a Super Bowl contender as well. I mean, this team was so banged up last year, and you can make that the reason why they lost to the Commanders in the divisional round. They were the best team in the NFC record-wise last year, and they had one of the best records in football. And they're a team that, man, they're not missing a beat after losing Ben Johnson or maybe even Aaron Glenn. Them beating Baltimore there on Monday night was a true statement win. And it's like, okay, now like doing it on the road as well is showcasing that you can actually hang with some of the best teams, because I still really like Baltimore, and Detroit has all these playmakers offensively in Amon-Ra, Gibbs, and Montgomery, and even Tesla and J-Mo and Sam Laporta. The O-line has been holding up so far as well. I mean, the offense has been really good. The defense still has some work, but it feels like Hutchinson's been getting better over time after that injury last year. I mean, the secondary can have its misses, right? Like Terran Arnold is, I don't know if somebody you can trust right now. I think they're better than Green Bay, even though they lost to Green Bay. So that's very, I don't know. I don't know if that's hypocritical or that just may be a flawed take, but I've been more impressed with Detroit so far. Maybe it's because I could have had lower expectations going into the year. But yeah, I think they're both Super Bowl contenders. That may change, but when I'm thinking about like the NFC South, NFC West, NFC East, there's really only 1 team that you could probably guess at that I like better than those right now. So yeah, I think I'm going to throw 2 teams in the contenders. And it's funny too, because one of these teams is going to be a wild card team at the end of the year. It's brutal. So the next team we'll talk about in the NFC North, the Minnesota Vikings. This might be a hot take as well. I think they're a potential wild card. I think they could miss the playoffs as well. I'm not like, I know how good this defense is. It's elite, and they're 2-1 to start off the year. They looked really good against, well, I mean, like their defense looked great against Chicago, great against Atlanta, and really good lead against Cincinnati as well. I mean, those teams are what? Jake Browning, Michael Penix, Caleb Williams. But no, it's still a great defense. It was a good defense last year. It's the best defense in football so far this year. They have a 9 a.m. game in Ireland against Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, who don't have a good offense right now statistically. It's like middle of the pack. So I think it comes down to quarterback play, right? Like, I could trust Jared Goff. I can right now. I could trust Jordan Love. I have no idea what I'm going to get out of JJ McCarthy because the guy played 8 quarters. 7 of them were abysmal. It was everything unless like that 4th quarter against Chicago. Everything else was a very tough watch. And I always thought it was going to be like an experimental year, a growth year for JJ McCarthy. And that was going to limit the Vikings ceiling and maybe even floor this year as well. But that floor is still extremely high because of this defense with the playmakers in the secondary, the playmakers in the front 7, and maybe the best defensive coordinator up there with Spags in the NFL in Brian Flores, who is just throwing out so many creative looks out there. It's putting offensive coordinators in just absolute hell at times. It's just quarterback play at the end of the day, which is going to put you into these tiers as well. And I just think JJ McCarthy, for the most part, was one of the worst quarterbacks in a very small sample size. And it's like Carson Wentz right now, who looked fine against Cincinnati. We'll see what happens against Pittsburgh as well. But their defense will keep them, I think, around or above 500 at the end of the year. And Chicago, I mean, what a great win that was against Dallas. I mean, Dallas has given up a lot of points this year, a lot of yardage to Philly, more so to the Giants and Chicago. I still don't think Chicago is going to make the playoffs. I mean, it's a tough still conference at the end of the day. Like, they lost to Minnesota, although when they play again, I think Chicago will win this game, even though it will be on the road. I just think Caleb is going to get better and better throughout the year. Odunze is getting better and better throughout the year. The defense has been kind of hit or miss to start off the year, but they've had guys that have been banged up. I mean, will DJ Moore get going a little bit more? This running game might just be a gross watch. Caleb still is going to have, I think, some inconsistencies and still some growing pains being very early in his career, holding on to the ball too much, stuff like that, making some bad throws, way too aggressive throws. I think they're going to slightly miss the playoffs, but I think this could be like whatever that Lions year was before they like fully broke out, where you can actually see this team on the horizon with the young core they have. So I think they can go 9-8. I think they'll go like 8-9 around that range, but it's going to be an encouraging record at that. Because what Caleb can be in year 3 next year. All right, let's go to the AFC North now. Let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they're probably on par with the Minnesota Vikings as a potential wild card. It's just like Mike Tomlin's the coach. Do I just have a lazy take and say, yeah, they're going to go 9-8, they're going to go 10-7, and they're going to get bounced as the 7th seed or the 6th seed in the wild card weekend? I mean, the Steelers are 2-1. They ended up beating the New England Patriots, a respectable team. They beat the Jets, maybe not as much in week 1, and they lost to the Seattle Seahawks, who are 3-1 to start off the year in week number 2. And who knows if Caleb Johnson doesn't have maybe the worst play of the season. Steelers could have been in that game a little bit more. It's definitely a tough test. Like, you know, those defenses are fine in the Jets, the Pats, and the Seahawks, but it's no test as true as Minnesota Sunday in Ireland. So that's going to be a big test for Arthur Smith, Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf. Some of those guys have been slightly disappointing. Broderick Jones have been kind of disappointing this year as well. Troy Fautanu could be better. Patrick Queen could be a little bit better as well. Some guys in the secondary could be better. I mean, the Steelers have had such a disappointing defense. I think they're going to hold their own against Minnesota. I know Jordan Mason's good. I know Justin Jefferson's elite. But, like, can they get to the quarterback? I know Darisaw's back, though, so we'll see. Are they going to run it away from TJ Watt like we've seen so far from opposing teams this year? I think the Steelers are going to just be up and down. They're going to have their highs. They're going to have their lows. They're going to go around 500 or a little bit better. I don't think Tomlin has a losing season with Aaron Rodgers this year, unless he got hurt. So I think they're a potential wild card. I don't know if I want to say they're like 100% a playoff team, because they could definitely go 9-8, and that's still not good enough to be a 7th or 6th seed in the AFC. I think Baltimore is still a Super Bowl contender. I don't think they're the favorite, but I think they're the number 2 right now, which is crazy because they're 1-2, but their 2 losses are against Buffalo, who you can probably guess where I'm going to have them, and Detroit, who are also in the Super Bowl contender tier. I mean, Lamar got sacked the most times in his career. Baltimore had plenty of injuries in the pass rush in Matabuke and Kyle Van Noy. I still trust their secondary. Starks is going to get better over the course of the year. Nate Wiggins looks legit out of the gate. And when he's on, Lamar Jackson's the best player in the NFL, like 100% bar none. So I think they're still a Super Bowl contender. They have one of the best running backs in the league. They still have good playmakers, right, with Andrews and Likely and Flowers. I mean, like, it's not the best skill position group in the world, but Lamar can make something out of nothing 95% of the time, and he may win MVP this year. 1-2 though, when they play the Chiefs this weekend. So like the Chiefs or the Ravens, one of those two teams are going to be 1-3, which is kind of crazy to think about. But I do think Baltimore is a more complete team than Kansas City, so they're going to be in there in Super Bowl contenders. Next up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, I don't even know. I think I'm just going to throw them in missing playoff teams. Like they're 1-2. Their offense has been so bad this year. It wasn't good against Cleveland when Joe Burrow was there. And then in week number 2, when he got hurt, it was a little bit better against Jacksonville. And then it was like the worst offensive performance, or up there with like maybe week 2 Jets, week 3 Falcons is like the worst offensive performance of the year against, hey, Minnesota. It's an elite defense. I don't think they're young and intriguing, and I don't think they're in number 1 pick contention. So I just think they're going to flat out miss the playoffs. Maybe they go 6-11. Maybe they go 7-10, something like that. But I think it's going to be too little, too late for Joe Burrow to come back. Browning should be better next week. I mean, like, yeah, you're not playing Minnesota's defense anymore. And then Cleveland, I mean, like, you know what's crazy? Like, I kind of want to put them in young and intriguing, even though they're in number 1 pick contention. It's just like Joe Flacco is nothing that screams young, but like Mason Graham has been great this year. Dylan Sampson and Keyshawn Judkins, I guess more specifically Judkins, have shown a lot this year. I'm excited about Harold Fannin. Carson Schweschinger has looked good. Secondary, like Ward's like up there. Newsom isn't like, he's not old by any means. So like those guys I still love on the defense. So I think Cleveland's actually young and intriguing. Like they definitely are number 1 pick contention, 100%. Like, so if you want to put them in that too, that's fine. But I think they're also like the definition of young and intriguing going forward. I don't know if it's going to be Andrew Berry next year as the GM. I don't know if it's going to be Kevin Stefanski next year as the GM. But man, like Cleveland's defense has been legit so far this year. They have, I think, been a top half defense. Their offense, though, is tough. And like Judy and Tillman are still like intriguing receivers, although they haven't done too much this year either. So I'm going to throw the Browns in young and intriguing. Like they were in it against Cincy. They maybe should have won that game. They were in it in like the first half or so against Baltimore, and then that got ugly. And they beat Green Bay, who I have in Super Bowl contenders. So shout out to Cleveland so far this year. So Baltimore and Super Bowl contenders. Me as a Steelers fan, putting them in potential wild card. Bengals missing the playoffs. And young and intriguing, I have Cleveland. So let's go on here to the South divisions. Everybody's favorite, the NFC South and the AFC South. Atlanta, I think they're young and intriguing still. I don't think they're making the playoffs. I mean, what I'm scared though, I mean, I remember when I made a tier list after the NFL draft, Falcons fans ripped me because I didn't have them in like a bottom tier, but I had them as like a tier, like second to last tier, third to last tier. And I don't know though. It's just like not good right now. And Raheem Morris kind of threw Kirk Cousins under the bus. He's like, we're not going to bench Michael Penix like already. Like Kirk was so bad last year for the course of the year that we had to bench him. I'm like, dude, that's like your veteran quarterback. Why are you throwing him under the bus like that? That's not good vibes in the locker room. I mean, they're young, right? Like you have James Pierce and Jalen Walker. Finally, Atlanta may actually have a legitimate pass rush. AJ Terrell, when he's healthy, is still one of the better corners in the league. You have Bijan Robinson, Drake London. I don't know if Kyle Pitts is going to be here much longer, but you still have Kyle Pitts and obviously Michael Penix. Like they're, I think, a bad team, but they're still young and intriguing. Their defense has been legit to start off the year. I mean, it's been Bryce Young, it's been JJ McCarthy, and it's been a good Tampa Bay offense to start off the year. But I think they're not number 1 pick contention. If you want to throw them and miss some playoff teams, that's fine because they're in a bad division still. Like New Orleans, Carolina, no threats. It's just like, can you catch Tampa Bay is like the big question mark. I mean, losing week 1 hurt. That's a game they should have won and they could have won down the stretch. I still think they're intriguing. Michael Penix still an intriguing quarterback. It was just like not a pretty week number 2 against, or week number 3 against, not really a great Carolina Panthers defense, although it has been fine this year going forward. So next up, we'll talk about those Carolina Panthers. I still think they're young and intriguing. I don't know if I want to put them any higher. I mean, it's like, do I keep wanting to buy into Bryce Young? Do I keep wanting to just think that he could be the guy going forward? Ted McMillan is maybe good enough alone to put them in this tier because he looks like he could be a top 10 receiver in the league going into next year. JC Horn, still an elite corner. They got Derek Brown back this year. There's still guys on both sides of the field that I like. And like I said, the defense has been respectable, like objectively this year. Now you may look at like their opponents, like, and their quarterbacks they've gone up against, and it's like, okay, the Cardinals offense, not great. Michael Penix and like the Jaguars offense, which had its issues and the delay in week number 1. So I still think they're young and intriguing. I don't know if they're like number 1 pick contention. If I had to say the worst team out of these 3, it's definitely the Browns. I would probably still rate them. I mean, Carolina beat Atlanta, so I'll go at Carolina, Atlanta, Cleveland there. And then lastly, Tampa Bay. I think they're just a playoff team. I unfortunately don't think they're Super Bowl contenders, sadly. Like, I think it's going to come down to Green Bay versus Tampa Bay. And I'm going to give the slight edge to Green Bay because I think their O-line will just hold up a little bit more at the end of the year. I mean, this Tampa O-line is depleted, man. It's depleted. I think it's going to affect Bucky. I mean, Mike Evans is hurt. Who knows how long Godwin's going to take to come back. Guys on the defense are banged up as well. I think they're going to be a good team like they were last year. Maybe things go their way like they did in the wild card round. They beat a team like the Commanders, right? And then they end up losing in round number 2 in the divisional round instead of the wild card round. I just don't know if they can go to the conference championship. Like, they were really close 2 years ago when they almost beat Detroit after beating Philly. But I just think this O-line needs to get healthier. And if it doesn't, man, I'm scared for Baker. Although Baker could be the MVP at the end of the year for all we know. So to recap the NFC South, I have Tampa as a playoff team. I have Carolina as young and intriguing, Atlanta and young and intriguing, and unfortunately for the Saints, number 1 pick contention. I mean, Rattler made some throws in the first 2.5 weeks, but it was really ugly against Seattle in week number 3. I mean, they don't have that many young players that I'm really intrigued in. It's like Olave, okay. It's like Talise Fuaga, Kelvin Banks, okay, Kool-Aid McKinstry, but it's just this team was always delaying the inevitable, and they're a number 1 pick contention. They may take Garrett Nussmeier, just keep him in the state of Louisiana. I hope we see Tyler Shuck. You drafted him in the 2nd round, you should at least see what you have from him. But yeah, they're going to be a tough watch at times. All right, let's go to the AFC South now. The Indianapolis Colts. Oh man, this is where you're tested here in making your season-long prediction. I think they're still a potential wild card team. I mean, the Colts offense is 3rd best in the NFL. It might be 2nd best behind Buffalo. It's just do I think Daniel Jones is going to lead this team to 11-6 record? Can they be Sam Darnold and the Vikings of 2024? Potentially. I remember going into the year, I had Minnesota as a bottom tier team. They had not good vibes coming out of camp. And I was just okay, Sam Darnold, it's tough, right? They go off to a 2-0 start, a 2-1, whatever it was. And I just kept betting against them. I'm this isn't legit. And it was legit. And it's just is that going to happen this year with the Indianapolis Colts? Because going into this year, like Minnesota in 2024, a lot of people had them at the bottom of their conference as well. I think I kind of want to put them as a playoff team. They're 3-0. 3-0, and they beat Denver. They beat Dolphins and Titans. It's not the toughest schedule in the world. I think I could make okay, so if they beat the Rams this week, they're a playoff team for sure, 100%. But right now I'm going to put them in potential wild card because I'm going to be a little hesitant to say that they haven't played a really good team. The Broncos are a good team and was an impressive win, and I'm impressed by what they've done. But I don't know. I don't know if I want to put them in playoff team just yet, but I don't want to have too much recency bias, but you can definitely disagree with me, and I'd be okay with it. Let's go into the Tennessee Titans. They're a number 1 pick contention, which, they don't need a quarterback. It's Cam Ward, and I think Cam Ward is probably better than any quarterback prospect we'll see. It could end up being Mendoza, could end up being Dante Moore, one of those guys for sure. If they get the number 1 pick, they're a prime team to trade out of it. They just need playmakers. They need receivers. I don't know who's going to end up being the number 1 receiver in this class. Will it be Tyson? Will it be Tate? We'll see. But they could be a team that trades down out of the number 1 pick. Jeffrey Simmons has been playing great, but do they just end up trading him? Brian Callahan's most likely getting fired at the end of the year. The O-line they've invested a lot into, but this offense is still up there with the Bengals. It's the worst offense in the NFL so far in terms of EPA per play. And it's just Calvin Ridley's doing them no favors. Alec Amainer has probably been the best skill position guy for this team. Pollard's been fine. They still are waiting for Tajay Spears back. I'm going to throw them in number 1 pick contention now because they're probably going to be the worst team in the AFC. I thought they could have had a little bit of Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix vibes and be at least in the conversation last year, in this year. But now it really does look like this is a bottom team in the NFL for sure. Jacksonville, they're tough. Somebody's got to win the division. Somebody's got to win the division. If I'm going to go with any, I think I'm going to take Jacksonville, who are 2-1 to start off the year. They beat Carolina. They lose to Cincy, a game they definitely could have won. And they end up beating Houston, which was a big win for them. I don't know if that's them beating Houston was more impressive than Indianapolis beating Denver. Probably not, because Houston's 0-3. This is so tough to predict the AFC South, because Jacksonville maybe doesn't even have it clicking yet, right? What are they going to do with Travis Hunter? It feels like they're still trying to work that out. Brian Thomas has not been on the same page with Trevor Lawrence. Bashal Tuden, I think, is going to get going real soon. And I just will Trevor Lawrence be better than Daniel Jones this year? The fact that it's a conversation is so disappointing with Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to throw them in playoff team. I think they end up winning the division. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. And I think Houston is going to miss the playoffs. They're 0-3. I mean, they're playing Tennessee this week. If they go 0-4, they're definitely missing the playoffs. Actually, you know what? Maybe I change this. I'm going to put them in potential wild card. Like, it's still room, and that doesn't mean you make the playoffs. Like, you can just miss it. They have to be better, right? I mean, you lose to Tampa Bay, you lose to the Rams, and you lose to the Jaguars. All those teams are good teams, but it's just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's so disappointing. So the fact that I have 3 AFC South teams in like this area is crazy. And I'm going to make the take that I think Jacksonville ends up winning the division. That one was kind of tough. All right, let's go to the AFC East now. Or no, we'll go to the NFC East, then we'll do the AFC East. Let's talk about the Giants. I mean, they're in number 1 pick contention, or young but intriguing. I mean, they're probably in young and intriguing, right? Like Dart, I'm intrigued. Cam Scatterbo, I'm intrigued. Malik Neighbors, I'm intrigued. Drew Phillips, I'm intrigued. Abdul Carter, intrigued. I'm intrigued a lot about the young guys here on the Giants. I mean, the offensive line is so bad that I'm scared about Jackson Dart going into this week. We'll see how it works out for them. I think, though, they're more intriguing than the Saints and the Titans. Like, the Titans, it's just like Io Maynor, Cam Ward, and that's maybe it for young and intriguing, and like the offensive line, and that's it. So the Giants, I think, have a little bit more intriguing players, but they're bad. Like, all these teams can be fighting for the number 1 pick. And what's scary, though, for the Falcons, they do not own their first round pick. The LA Rams do, from the James Pierce trade up. So scared about them. Dallas, I mean, they're 1-2 to start off the year. They barely beat the Giants. They're not young at all. CD's going to be out for a little bit. It's either I throw them in missing playoff team, like the Bengals, or I'm literally dropping them the number 1 pick contention. I mean, the defense is so bad, and we're seeing the lack of pass rush really hurt, like Kyer Elam, Deron Bland, Trayvon Diggs, Malik Hooker, because those guys, I guess like Bland's only played a game, but like most of those guys have been like torched so far because they're getting no pass rush whatsoever. Dak is playing still at a high level, but it's like, can Jake Ferguson, George Pickens, Turpin, Tolbert like hold them up? I don't really know. They've had some injuries to the offensive line. Man, I think they're actually in number 1 pick contention, which is sad, which is really sad. Cause like they're better, I think, than some of these teams, but I just don't think like they're as intriguing as these teams. Like all these teams, I will say, are in number 1 pick contention, but I think the Cowboys are as well, which is sad. The Eagles, Super Bowl contenders, or Super Bowl favorites. They are 3-0 to start off the year with impressive wins. Cowboys, okay, but you beat the Chiefs on the road, right? You end up beating the Rams at home in a comeback win, which was very impressive. And they still have a young defense, but it's a good defense so far to start off the year. The offense has been like, I mean, like in the defense, you could say it's been too, and they're still 3-0. So I don't know if that's coaching. I don't know if that's just like the veteran leadership of Hurts not turning the ball over. They still have the tush push on their side. They still have a great O-line. Saquon's still a top running back. You still have elite playmakers offensively and defensively. Nolan Smith's out, but he'll be back. It's just like, will DeJean, Quinion Mitchell, like in the secondary and Blankenship hold up throughout the second half and into the playoffs? We'll see. I think they're Super Bowl favorites. Like they haven't played. I mean, the Rams are a good team. Like the Rams, they'll be up here. I'm not going to say the Chiefs will be up here and the Cowboys ain't up here. But like they have a tough schedule this year, we'll see. But they're definitely the Super Bowl favorites in my opinion. And then the Commanders, I mean, they blow out the Raiders with no Jaden Daniels. You lose to the Packers, and you end up losing, or you win week 1 against the Giants. So like maybe not like an impressive win yet. I mean, beating the Raiders by that much without your quarterback is impressive. I'm going to think that they are a playoff team still. I think they're going to just be a high-end wild card team. I think they're better than Jacksonville. I know they beat Tampa Bay last year. Like, I want to say Baker's better than Jaden Daniels, but it's just like, I don't know. I was scared about the Commanders secondary, but like Trey Amos looks legit, and I think I could be bought in onto this team for sure. I mean, Terry, I was worried about like, obviously him from a fantasy standpoint, regression-wise, but it's just like holding out and not having like the proper ramp up. It's just like, I was scarred from Brandon Ayuk last year, so I think they're a playoff team still. I'm just not sure if they're going to rival Philly like they kind of did at times last year for the division. So that was the NFC East. Let's go to the AFC East now. The Jets, sadly, number 1 pick contention. I just like the football gods are not on their side. They could have beat the Steelers in week 1. They don't. It was close. Buffalo, we're like, okay, could they upset Buffalo? No, it was an absolute blowout. Fields get concussed. They played all right in week 3. It wasn't great to start off. There were so many flags, and then they had that blocked field goal return for a touchdown, and then Baker leads that game-winning drive on their game-winning field goal. But like the Jets, I don't know. Like you could throw them in young and intriguing as well. Like probably. Like I'm way more intrigued about Brees, we'll see if he's even here, but like Garrett Wilson, the offensive line, man, is great. Armand Membu looks like he's legit right away. Fashanu, like you still have Sauce Gardner, you still have guys on the D-line. I mean, they're in number one pick contention. Like I said, everybody in the young and intriguing is in number one pick contention as well. I just kind of like their futures a little bit more than Dallas, Tennessee, and New Orleans. Let's go to the Pats next. I think they're going to just be a missing playoff team. I wasn't as high on the Patriots going into the year than I think everybody else was. That was like, okay, they're going to be that like maybe double-digit win team, maybe the team that's going to win the most games from their 2024 total. But Drake May has looked very inconsistent to start off the year. They probably could have beaten the Steelers. They had just so many fumbles, and they had a goal line interception as well. They had a goal line fumble. The defense looks fine to start off the gate as well. Like, you beat Miami. You end up losing to the Raiders in week 1, lose to the Steelers in week 3. They're getting Christian Gonzalez back. They still don't have like a true wide receiver 1. It's like Hunter Henry right now. Keyshawn Booty's been arguably better than Stephon Diggs. It's just a hodgepodge out there. I just want to see more Travion Henderson. I don't think they're going to end up making the playoffs. I think they're better than Cincy. And I think they're going to just, they're not going to be like in the hunt graphic at the end of the year. But I'll map this out to make sure I have at least 7 teams and I think potential wild cards and above or something like that. Miami, I mean, they're 0-3. I expected them to lose to Buffalo, but losing to the Pats hurt, and definitely losing to the Colts hurt a lot. Now, 4 of their next 5 games are against teams basically in this tier. It's the Browns, the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Jets. They do have like one tough game against the Chargers in there, so I think that they're going to be better. I think Miami ends up missing the playoffs. I think they're going to, get better. It was a tough start to start off the year. I think they're better than this. I think they played fine against Buffalo. They played good against New England. It was embarrassing in week number 1. Like I said, I think they beat the Jets, they beat the Panthers, they beat the Falcons, they beat the Browns, and they become respectable towards the end of the year. That may be a hot take as well. Who knows, though? Maybe they trade Tyreek Hill. If Tua goes down, though, they're definitely a number 1 pick contention as well. And I would not say they're young and intriguing, although I'm intrigued about A-Chain and Waddle long-term and Phillips and Chop Robinson and some of those guys. It's just like, I think they are better at the end of the season. They will be better than these teams right now. I don't know between them and Cincy who will be better. I might end up going with Tua and the Dolphins, which is not a popular take right now. I know like their offense has been fine, but their defense has been abysmal to start off the year. I don't know. It's like them, or I think New England's better, but I think they'll be like 6-11, 7-10 by the end of the year as well. And then that is going to be not every team from the AFC East, because we have my Super Bowl favorites, the Buffalo Bills. This is a team I was insanely high on going into the year. They were close to beating the Chiefs in the playoffs, but we've said that so many times already. They have arguably another MVP season out of Josh Allen like they did last year. Still, it's just like not the sexiest skill position group, but Coleman, Palmer, Shakir are just going to get it done for this team. Kincaid as well. They have a good offensive line, good run blocking scheme, and James Cook is a beast as well. We'll see if the defense will hold up. We know they're going to be playing in the divisional round of the championship. They probably will get the 1 seed at the end of the year. It's just, will they be able to beat Patrick Mahomes? All right, finally, let's go to the West divisions to wrap this out. We have the Arizona Cardinals. I don't think they're making the playoffs. They started off the season 2-2. I knew it was kind of like Mickey Mousey because you beat the Saints and the Panthers. It wasn't pretty against the Panthers either. And then they end up losing to Mac Jones and the Niners. They lost to the Seahawks on Thursday night. They could have sent that game into overtime. Like, Marv struggled in the first half. He has that touchdown. DeMarcado has the game tying touchdown. And then the Chad Ryland kickoff issue. They start at the 40 in the Seahawks. They get a couple plays. They kick the game-winning field goal. And now the Cardinals are 2-2. I just do not trust this offense with Drew Petzing whatsoever. They're kind of middle of the pack offensively and defensively. I mean, you look at the quarterbacks they played: Bryce Young, Spencer Rattler, Mac Jones, and Sam Darnold, who has looked good this year. I think they're a missing playoff team, though. I think it's very similar to the Patriots, the Dolphins at the end of the year. I think them and the Bears might be right on the outs when we get to December and January. Let's go to the Seahawks next. I think they're a playoff team. I mean, the NFC West is a good division, man. I think they're a playoff team. I do not think they're going to win the division. I think the Rams are going to win the division. So I don't know. I might have too many NFC teams in here, but I think they're going to be similar to, I don't know, the Rams are 2-1. They almost beat the Eagles to start off the season 3-0. The Rams beat the Texans to start off the year. They took care of the Titans as well. I'm not going to say they should have beat the Eagles, but they were the better team for 3/4 of that game as well. I like the Rams more than Seattle, but I think that's a fun debate at the end of the year. Who ends up winning that division? Because San Fran, I think they're a potential wildcard team. It's just like injuries, man. Like, I know they won with Mac Jones. Still TBD, Brock Purdy's going to play this Sunday. Well, like Nick Bosa being out for the year. Kittle being out already. I'm scared watching CMC play. It looks like Brandon Ayuk is not ahead of schedule by any means. Jawan Jennings is banged up as well. Just so many injuries to this team on both sides of the ball. I think are going to come back to, like, it's going to really trickle down when we get to like December and January. And at the end of the year, it's just like, who's the healthiest team? The Eagles were pretty healthy last year, for the most part, going into the Super Bowl, and they ended up winning it. And they were the best team. But at the end of the day, it's kind of injuries on your side. So I think they're a potential wildcard team as well, with like the Vikings out of the NFC. And now let's go to the AFC West to wrap this out. So, who do I think wins this division? I mean, the Chargers are 3-0, and they beat in the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Broncos. I think they're going to be the Super Bowl contender out of the AFC. I like the Chargers more than the Chiefs. That may come back and bite me as well. The Chiefs are playing the Ravens. They could be 1-3 to start off the year. They lose to Philly, team they could end up playing in the playoffs if they were in the Super Bowl. They lose to the Chargers as well, and then they were able to beat the Giants, and it wasn't like pretty. It was a convincing victory, but it wasn't pretty. I don't know, like they're going to get Worthy and Rashee Rice back, and this offense will look better. I mean, they have no ground game whatsoever. But I think the Chargers, man, like I know losing Najee will hurt. Losing Slater definitely limits their ceiling as well. But I think we're watching Justin Herbert really kind of show that he is a top 5 quarterback in the league, and he deserves to be in the Allen, Lamar, Burrow, and Mahomes conversations. Hampton's going to be a great running back throughout the course of the year. They have like a 3-headed monster at the receiving position. Like, welcome back Quinn Johnston as like a guy that was drafted in the first round in real life. Vlad McConkey, Keenan Allen. They still have some playmakers defensively. Still some question marks defensively, but the defense has been playing well this year. I think they're a Super Bowl contender. It was them or the Chiefs. I still can't see the Chiefs not making the playoffs, so I think they'll end up making it. So they'll just be one of the wild card teams, which is weird. They haven't been a wild card team in forever. And then Broncos and Raiders. I think the Raiders are just going to miss the playoffs. I can't see them being in number 1 pick contention. And they're still like a young and intriguing team, but I think they're a little bit better than those guys in that tier. And then I think the Broncos so far, like I'm a little bit worried about Bo Nix and like the offense, but like J.K. Dobbins has been great. The defense has to be playing better, even though it's been fine. I think they could just be like Vikings level good by the end of the year. So I wanted to map this out, right? I have basically 3 teams in each conference after the top 2. I have the Jaguars winning the division. I have Kansas City being a wild card team. So that puts me at 4, and that puts me at 5, essentially. So the other 2 wild cards, if I had to pick in the AFC, the teams to the left, I think I would go, I think the Colts get one of them. And then I think the Broncos beat out the Steelers. And I think it's going to be the Texans and the Steelers on the outs. Are on the outside looking in, but they make it a little bit closer than like Miami, Cincy, and New England at the end of the year. So I have the Eagles winning the division. I have the Lions winning the division. I have the Rams winning the division, and I have the Bucks, with the Packers being a wild card. So that's 5 there. Seattle being a wild card. That's 6, and Washington 7. So yeah, I actually have Seattle and Minnesota both missing it, but they're the closest teams on the outside looking in. These missing playoff teams could be like in the hunt graphic in December, early January. Young but intriguing. All these teams are competing for the number 1 pick as well, but I just like their futures a little bit more. And the number 1 pick contention, it's crazy to have Dallas down there, but it's really tough to think that they're going to be much better throughout the course of the year. So I hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know what you agree with or disagree with down below. I think the toughest ones were figuring out the second Super Bowl contender in the NFC, because I had Detroit, which I think a little bit more than Green Bay, but like figuring those 2 out. You can let me know if you like maybe the Rams, the Seahawks, the Bucks a little bit more. Definitely the Ravens. I know they're 1-2 as a Super Bowl contender. I think it's also just figuring out, do you like the Chargers the most? Maybe it's the Colts. Maybe it's the Chiefs. One of those teams. Let me know down below. Drop a thumbs up if you guys did enjoy. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.